is our special edition and for this conference sponsored by the CBC. We will be bringing up Millicent Clarke, Esquire. You all need a lawyer, but here she comes. She will be moderated by Sandra McCarty.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before this powerful, phenomenal woman speaks, I'd like to just highlight a few things about her. She is not only an outstanding woman who is from the Caribbean, but she's also someone who has been practicing immigration law for over 35 years. So, she has seen a lot of cases. If you're having any challenges in immigration, any hard cases, she is a person you want to seek out. Her firm, Clarke & Associates, is based in Freeport, and as I said, she is going to make sure you, the client, is properly served, and you can be assured your case will be represented and you will be sure to get the answer you deserve. So let me just tell you quickly what's going to happen in this segment. Miss Millicent Clarke, Esquire, is going to speak for a few minutes about some topical issues as it relates to immigration. And then I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Okay? So please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Miss Millicent Clarke, Esquire.
Good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure to be here, and I just want to say thanks to Sandra and to Dr. Neva for inviting me. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about immigration, and as you know, it's been a buzzword all over the media, and it's been a crazy situation for the past year, becoming more so. Now, here's the problem with immigration. Everybody knows something about immigration, and no one seems to want to consider the entire pie. Okay? Immigration, I mean, I've been to dinner parties where people are arguing about immigration. I just keep quiet because everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Everybody's right because they're talking about how it impacts them and their life. Everybody's wrong because they're not thinking about how it impacts other aspects of our society. So, it's funny, immigration law is seen as filling out forms. And so we have tax people filling out forms, we have everybody in the world filling out forms. But immigration is not about filling out forms. There is a complex body of law that underpins these forms and these policies. And so when we get to the time of enforcement, we have an immigration bar that really doesn't know what to do. If it's not a simple answer, there is no answer. As I said, as Sandra said, I've practiced law, immigration law, solely for 35 years. 17 of those years I worked for the United States government doing immigration law at its very highest. Okay, so there is case law that precedent decisions that I've been responsible for, and so I don't think of myself as just an ordinary immigration attorney. I think of myself as the very best. Okay, so what is all this frenzy going on right now? Okay, now our chief executive has declared war on immigrants. What's funny about the whole thing is just about everybody's an immigrant. So you're talking about chain migration. And by the way, chain migration is when, okay, I come to the United States, I come unlawfully. I might have come unlawfully, or I might have come and overstayed my visitor's visa. And now I'm in the United States, and I have no status. And let's say I marry a United States citizen, and I get a green card. And eventually I become a citizen of the United States. Now I can bring my parents, now I can bring my siblings, and I could always bring my children, and so that's chain migration. You have a bunch of people following you eventually. Now, how did anybody get here but for chain migration? Okay? Okay, so it's now a bad thing all of a sudden. But that's how everybody got here through chain migration. And then, you know, as I said, immigration law is not just filling out papers, it's a very complex body of law. And I get the feeling again that our chief executive doesn't have the patience to really understand what he's talking about. So it's just, yeah, unfortunately. So it's just words, chain migration, diversity visa. Every time somebody gets a visa, the type of visa, and they get into trouble, that visa becomes bad, okay? So. It's not 140. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. So, people are concerned, you know, last week something happened that really kind of focused it for me, because I've been telling everyone, don't panic, don't panic. As a matter of fact, I tell people, look, just make sure you have your money, okay? And Chase has been complaining that nobody's putting money in their banks because these people really save their money, and now they're keeping it at home and they're keeping it on their person. They never thought about that, did they? Now the Chase Bank in Freeport is talking about closing down because they have no deposits, okay? Right, okay? So we talk about this, but we don't talk about that and that and that and how it impacts us all the way around, okay? Another thing we don't think about is a lot of these people work and they'll never get Social Security, okay? So they're enriching us without any benefit down the road, okay? A lot of them now are going to be deported, and as I said, the bar is based on, the immigration bar is for the most part unable to cope, because especially the young people who came through the time of Obama, where they kind of, there was no real enforcement unless you were a criminal alien. So these people were like, Judge, you want to admin close the case? Just admin close the case, okay? So they have no concept of how to litigate an immigration case. And so people are being deported right, left, and center. And I actually, you know, I said, okay, everybody, you know, just kind of stay calm. And then I realized last week, there's no staying calm. Okay, and people really need it. I tell my people, who are, some of them are undocumented, some of them are being forced out of the United States because of something that happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And I tell them, you know, I used to tell them anyway, just keep calm and, you know, make sure you have your money for your attorney's fees, for your bond, da-da-da-da-da. But now, last week, a young man was taken into custody, and the only thing that was against him was that he was an overstay. And he came to us, and he'd been married to a United States citizen and living with her for the past 6 years. And because they were off the books, because he was working off the books, they could never get the financial affidavits that they needed. So, and they couldn't find someone to help them as a co-sponsor. So they never filed. So all of a sudden they come into my office and they're desperate and they want it filed yesterday, and we filed it yesterday. Because when he went in to see the officer said, we're gonna take him into custody. I'm like, huh? He's obviously going to get a green card, okay? He's not a threat to American society. Why are you taking him into custody? And they said, new regulations just came down. So, okay, so what you're doing is taking away every discretion from the officer in the field, from the supervisors, and everything rests in Washington. We're getting, Sessions is sending down his orders every day. And most of us here are citizens of the United States, but the fact of the matter is, when we see injustice, if we do nothing about it, well, you know the story, okay? If they come for one today, they'll come for you tomorrow. That's all, simple as that, simple as that. And so a lot of people think it's not my business. I was born here, I have my, when injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, okay? So, all right, so if you have questions, anything related to immigration, the simplest question, the most difficult question, I can answer for you. Okay.
Any questions? Okay, while you're thinking of your questions, okay.
I'm not sure if this is true, but this is what I heard. Oh, okay. If someone has, if they're insured, they have an insurance policy, they say it shows their confidence. I guess the system sees that they're probably not vetted, but they show that they are serious about being a citizen, they've been planning to be here for a while, and, they're on the right track of, being a productive part of society because they're investing and protecting themselves and their families. So if they have something like that in place, is it a way to help them not to be deported? I mean, does it help if they have that in place?
Okay, that's a tough question because it brings in so many other factors. But the fact of the matter is, okay. Okay. If you're ineligible as a matter of law for some kind of relief, or if you are about to be deported from the United States because of some statutory reason, that is not going to help. However, every good thing, every little equity helps. And that's one of it in most cases in immigration. You're trying to build up equities. You're trying to say, I've worked, I've paid taxes, I have not gotten into any trouble, I have, and all those add up. I have children, they're in school, I own some property. Every little positive factor helps. And so that's one of them, yes, yes.
Hello, my name is Ingrid. I have a question for you. I want to know what's happening with the DECA students and then all those immigrants.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I am one of these people who, I believe in telling the truth at all costs, okay? And so when I hear the news reporters on TV carrying on about DACA, I just want to smash the TV, okay? Okay? I just want, and I know a number of you here are from media.
No.
And yeah, I actually, when I start, and I'm gonna take a long way around your question, but I started out as a journalism student at Fordham University, okay? And I really, and who talked about Willowbrook? Okay, Willowbrook, that's when I really became interested in journalism, okay? Seeing Geraldo Rivera, who I must say has kind of disappointed me in the years, but he was wonderful back then with Willowbrook.
He's so wonderful. He raises millions of dollars for my organization for children from Willowbrook.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anyway, so I see all this carrying on about DACA, and I'm like, Okay, first let's understand what it's about. There are over 3 million children, well, young people in the United States who were brought here by their parents. They had nothing to do with where they ended up, okay? And these are kids who now want to go to college, they want to join the military, they want to work. You know, they're young people with a future ahead of them, and they'll come into my office and they have nothing. They, you know, before DACA, they had nothing, okay? And they're miserable and they're angry at their parents and they're ready to tear it up, okay? You've never, I mean, I asked my mother for my birth certificate and found out at 18 that I'm not American. Never knew that, okay? So these kids are ready to tear it up. So there was legislation pending in Congress and couldn't pass. It's called the Dreamers Act.
Right.
And it was to give them green cards, so they would move on from there to citizenship and become full members of the American community. President Obama came up with this executive order, that's all it was, an executive order to give these young people, so just basically bypassing Congress, to give these young people work authorization, social security numbers, so they could move forward in their lives, okay? It was set to expire on March 5th. Okay, now, all that needed to do was for there to be an extension, or just leave it alone, okay? Just leave it alone. It could have sunset and still just, you know, we're just gonna continue this policy for a while. Instead, they create this huge political about nothing, okay? And terrify these kids. People coming to my office. There's a young woman who works for me, and she's DACA, and she came into my office bawling, okay, shaking, okay? And I told her, I said, don't worry, I got this, okay? Okay, because a lot of these people are now entitled, they've lived here long enough, and they're entitled to so many other remedies. A lot of them are young people, they're gonna get married anyway, okay, naturally, and they're going and, you know, they can get, and there are professions who can apply for them, and they can go out and pick up their visas, and some of them are eligible for asylum, and so, you know, there's this big to-do about nothing. My thing is, let's not carry on about DACA, let's get the Dreamers Act passed, okay? Okay, that's what we need to do. Okay, that's what we need to do. And the other day, a friend of mine texted me and said, I heard that, you know, the Supreme Court just, you know, DACA just won at the Supreme Court. It's nothing like that. There was nothing substantive said about from the Supreme Court. What happened was a federal judge said, district court judge said, I am not, you know, you are not going to take DACA away from people, from these young kids, without due process of law. So you're not going to do it in an executive order, you're going to go through process of law. Trump and his folks went directly to the Supreme Court, okay? The normal pattern is, the law as it's set out is, you go from a federal district court to a United States Court of Appeals. You do not go directly to the Supreme Court, and that's what Trump did. He tried to bypass the United States Court of Appeals, okay? And the Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court says, no, go back and do it in the orderly fashion. That was the victory, okay? So, no, DACA won, but it didn't really win because it never got to the substance of things.
Okay, that is, we do have one final question, and you're going to have to answer this very quickly, okay? How did Melania Trump obtain her green card?
Okay, all right. Okay, by the way, I know Melania's attorney, immigration attorney, very well. Very well, okay? Okay, so Melania is one of these people who come to the they're actually called the invisible immigrants. The invisible immigrants, they're mostly European, and they come back and forth and they work, and nobody realizes because they're not of darker hue. Most people don't realize that they're actually don't have status in the United States. Okay, so they pass by it, and people don't realize this. If you go into Central Park, I mean, I always say, and people always cringe when I say it, if you really want to find some illegal aliens, go into Central Park. Okay, go into Central Park, and I know this because over the years I've had people from CBS and a bunch of even judges calling me and saying, my housekeeper, okay? All right, so I know, okay, so we focus on the least of these, but we don't focus on the people up there who really are involved also. So Melania was back and forth as a model, okay? She was on what is called a visitor's visa, which means that every 6 months, you're supposed to come in. But in what country do you go and you come back every 6 months and say you're a visitor? It's ridiculous, okay? Anybody, I mean, I've traveled all over the world, and everywhere I go, you get 2 weeks to a month and you're done. You better get out of there, okay? But in America, you can stay for 6 months. So what people do is they come to the United States, they work, and then they go back and they stay like a month and they come back, and so they're working here, but they're not visitors. Apparently, she wasn't a very good model because people said she was, even though she's considered beautiful, she's just too stiff. You can see it, okay? She's too stiff to be a model. So she made very little money, but she did work unlawfully in the United States, and everybody else would have had to be accountable for that. But she wasn't, and she actually lied on her application, okay? She lied on her application, saying that she didn't work, she didn't make money. She did, not a lot, but she did, okay? So then, it came out the other day that she, in fact, got what is called an Einstein visa. Now, okay? Now, you're really pushing it, okay? But what it is that there's a very, I would say, a very small segment of the international, the whole world population that qualifies for this visa. You don't have to have a job, you don't have to, you have to be at the very, very, very top of your profession. And I know this, I have done these visas, okay? You're talking about people with PhD, MDs, one person having a PhD and an MD at the same time. You're talking about a playwright who's, been proclaimed as, his day was proclaimed in New York City, and he's, published, had plays acted all over the world. That's what you're talking about. And, and so she gets, I guess she's one of the top models in the world who never made any money and is too stiff to jump off the page of Vogue.
Okay, so we're wrapping that up, and thank you, Millicent Clarke,